16th. This hopefully is our last regularly scheduled meeting that we do video conferencing. So look forward to getting back to the city hall to have our normality back. So hopefully everything will go back to normal as we swing into getting past COVID. So today we have with us Father Rick Chenault from Our Lady of the Valley Catholic Church, and he's going to lead us in our invocation.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Watson, Councilman Watson, and it's a great honor to be here with all of you. I know you have a busy meeting, so I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm from Decatur, Alabama. I've been pastor here for, this is my second year. But just to add to that Auburn, Alabama discussion, I'm an Auburn grad, but I served at Alabama for the last 8 years before coming here in Tuscaloosa, and I couldn't preach too much about Auburn when Coach Saban's sitting in your congregation, you know, so I had to be pretty good, pretty neutral anyway. So, anyway, it's a great honor to be here with all of you, and thank you for your service. All right, well, I know y'all are busy. We'll go ahead and get started. Just like to read just a short verse from the Word of God here from Psalm 127. Unless the Lord build the house, they labor in vain who build. Unless the Lord guard the city, in vain does the guard keep watch. It is vain for you to rise early and put off your rest at night, to eat bread earned by hard toil. All this God gives to his beloved in sleep. Let us pray. We stand before you, Holy Spirit, conscious of our sinfulness, but aware that we gather in your name. Come to us, remain with us, and enlighten our hearts. Give us light and strength to know your will, to make it our own, and to live it in our lives. Guide us by your wisdom. Support us by your power. For you are God, sharing the glory of Father and Son. You desire justice for all. Enable us to uphold the rights of others. Do not allow us to be misled by ignorance or corrupted by fear or favor. Unite us to yourself in the bond of love and keep us faithful to all that is true. As we gather in your name, may we temper justice with love, so that all our decisions may be pleasing to you and earn the reward promised to good and faithful servants. We live and reign with the Father and the Son, one God, forever and ever. Amen. God bless all of you today, and thank you for the privilege of being here. I'll have to sign off. I have some other engagements, but again, thank you for all your service. May God bless you.
Thank you, Father. All right, seeing that we do have a quorum, let's get to the official business. Everyone had an opportunity to look at the meeting of our last meeting on March 3rd. Would entertain a motion to accept that minutes as read. Motion by John, second by Leanne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's just back up a minute. Lynn, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Sure. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lynn. Moving right along, our ratification of bills. If everyone had a chance to look at those, and if so, I entertain a motion to ratify the payment of accounts.
So moved.
Motion by Johnny, second by Philip. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Let me abstain, Walker. It's my fault, Mr. Drum. I got this downloaded finally about 10 minutes ago, so let me just abstain. I don't see anything. Nothing wrong. I just want to do about doing it before I read it.
Okay. Let the record show that, please, Mr. Farner. Okay. Any committee reports? We got a lot of committee stuff in this council meeting. So, is there anything that we need to talk about before we dive into these? If not, we'll move right into it. We've asked Mr. Peavy to be with us today, so we're going down to new business and move item 10 up to the first item of the agenda. Brian has been talking to Mr. Peavy, so I'm going to turn it over to Mayor to lead us in this discussion. Mayor?
Okay, we met, our police commission met with Craig Peavy several weeks ago, and I got an email from Craig and with the proposal, and had it put on the agenda for today, and we've asked Craig to come on and kind of give an overview of this proposal to let you guys know what we're going to be getting out of this proposal. And it was my intent last term when we did the renovations at the police department to get this second phase done, and because to me that's what's needed the worst is the second phase done on the police department to get the police department up to speed to where we are at in the city. So, Craig, would you speak to us on what this proposal, details and what we'll be getting out of this?
Thank you all for having me today. So the feasibility study is what this proposal is focused around. Essentially, what it does is it will allow us to come into the department and do a series of interviews and do an evaluation of the existing facility from an architecture standpoint, but also from logistics, all of the mechanical systems. I know that the electrical systems were recently upgraded, but it would be an evaluation of those as well. All plumbing, salt pits, but essentially all of the guts of the building. As part of our proposal, we have one of our engineering firms here locally that as part of this proposal, they are going to come and do an on-site facility evaluation and categorize all of the equipment, let us know which ones are in good shape, which ones have just a little bit of life left, or the ones that need to be replaced now. And then they'll give us a report basically with recommendations on which one, if all of them are good, then they'll give us a recommendation that you're good. If half of them need to be replaced because they're 20-year units and they have 3 years left on them, that's what they're going to recommend. So from our perspective, what we are going to do is come in, and because of the sequencing of the phasing of this project, the police department has to stay in operation. So since there's kind of 3 main levels of the building, the thought is that we would renovate maybe the top portion first, and then move the majority of the people from the main floor up to that level so that we could renovate the main floor, and then so on down with the lower level. But as part of the feasibility study would be taking the core program of what we get in our interviews with the police department and looking at all these spaces and aligning their needs with the space allocations. So if you have X many detectives, we'll end up with X many spaces for the detectives to be. Or if we have 3 or 4 rooms of file storage that need to be held for X many years, then we'll come down and take space measurements for those hard records and be able to make sure that they have a home once we get done. So the finished feasibility study will essentially be a series of floor plans that show our recommendations of what needs to be renovated, to what extent, on what floor, and how it's staged. It will also house a recommendation from our engineering team on what mechanical systems can stay in place and which ones need to be replaced. That will allow us, we'll give this to you as a package, and our recommendation would be to get 1 or 2 people or contractors in the area that you guys have worked with in the past and have a good relationship with, that could take this to market and get basically a rough order of magnitude. You know, if this is a $100 project or $1 million project, it gives you something tangible that you can take to market and be able to say, all right, within 10 or 15%, this project should cost X amount. So the feasibility study basically allows us to tell the story of what needs to be renovated, but also put a cost to it so that you guys can decide if this is, you have the resources for it, or if you need to raise the resources, or if the resources can be transferred from somewhere else. So the feasibility study is kind of like an all-inclusive package that builds that and gives you the information to be able to make those decisions.
So I think today what we need to do is get the council to pass the fact that we want to do this feasibility study. Once we get that, passed by the council, then we will go forward. I will work with Craig and we'll go forward with this feasibility study now.
Craig, what do you expect on the asbestos situation? We're going to have a problem there?
There was some conversation about some of the major mechanical systems had already been remediated, like the boiler has actually been encapsulated. So that's a good thing. I think all the friable, all of the nasty stuff that gives you cancer just by looking at it, I think all of that has been removed. But there's definitely still some asbestos in there. On the third floor in that mechanical room, when we opened the door, there were asbestos tiles on the floor. So there's certainly part of this feasibility study is us pulling together requests for proposals from asbestos and lead-based paint companies, and we'll actually facilitate taking those proposals to market and getting 3 or 4 proposals, and then we'll present that back to the mayor for him to present to you guys. So we'll help facilitate some of that. But I definitely feel like there's some there. But just from past experience, I don't think it is it's not a deal killer in this project. I've seen some where they were hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't think that you have any of those kind of issues.
That's great, thank you. Good hearing.
Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Payne? Rocky, is that where, Bill?
How long, Greg, will this take?
We're thinking somewhere in the 6 to 8 week range. Not too long.
Rocky, was there any comments? I know we sent you a copy of the proposal. Anything that jumped out?
No, I think the proposal's fine. I just want to remind everybody that we just can't take it to market. What we're going to have to do is have a complete set of drawings and plans and bid this project, assuming it's going to cost more than $50,000, which I'm quite positive that it will.
Okay, so Jim, are we ready to vote to accept this proposal? If so, I entertain a motion to accept the proposal. Motion by Philip, second by Lynn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Before we get this up, Chief Davis, do you have any comments on?
I just want to thank the mayor and the city council for looking at this and to finish this project. We have a great facility here. We've just grown, and there's areas that can be renovated. There's a lot of good open space that we're going to be able to utilize. So I just want to thank everybody for their time and effort into looking into this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Mayor, for looking into this. And if you would, Brian, please get out.
I will be in touch with Craig, and we will, I'm sure, get to know each other quite well over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Craig.
Bye.
All right, Mayor, if you would please just keep us updated as we go from council meeting to council meeting where we are on this project. I appreciate it.
Will do.
All right. Item 2 is informational ordinances and resolutions. Do we need to take all these separately, or can we do all of excuse me, that's 3. Let's do 3. Ordinance 3, we have to do those separately. The first one is 2021-5, setting speed limits on mountain drive roads. Chief Davis, you have some in this?
Yes, sir. A couple of weeks ago, I received a call and actually a letter from the residents of Mountain Briar Road. It appears that Mountain Briar Road is a narrow one-way road that's on Lookout Mountain. And it appears that maybe a GPS, when people put in certain addresses, it is sending cars down that resident area. It's, like I said, it's one way. And you have a lot of the residents that live in there. They walk the roads. They walk their dogs. A lot of kids play in that area. So for concern, they requested 3 things, and 2 of them we'd already been able to take care of. One was there was a dead end sign on the road. However, the location it kind of got hid behind a tree. I'd gotten with Tim at the street department, and they relocated the dead end sign. They've also added a no outlet sign on the on top of the stop sign. So, but there's not a posted speed limit through there, and I think a third safety measure would be to put a speed limit post on that road in case there are cars that actually do still go down it. And I believe a good recommended speed for that size road would be 15 miles per hour.
If not, I entertain a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Motion.
Motion by John, second by Johnny. All in favor say aye. If I did,
You'll have to suspend the rules if you wish to adopt it today.
okay, do we need to suspend the rules for this, guys? Can we carry it over to the next meeting? Not urgent, is it?
Well, it's just a big road, vote then it'll be over with.
Okay. I need a motion to suspend the rules. Motion by Philip, second by Johnny. All in favor? Your roll call. Johnny.
Yes.
Lynn. Philip.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
I say yes. The motion carries. Now motion to adopt ordinance 5. Motion by John, second by Johnny. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Mr. President, can I say something
Sure, Johnny.
about that? Chief, would you look at Scenic Road? I've been having complaints on that for a long time. I talked to Chief Bynum about it, and I keep getting them. It's just like they're getting faster. So could you look at that and see, come back to us and recommend, or maybe run some patrol or whatever out there?
We will. I'll come up with something and get back with y'all on it. And we'll also, we're doing our best to increase patrol on the mountain. That's one thing we're really strongly pushing for. So, but I will get that addressed.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
David, I got one while we're talking about it.
Yes.
What do we need to do to get a slow, children playing sign on Hiawatha Drive? I've got several. In fact, I got one yesterday. Calls on that, but it's not so much the speed; it's just the heavy traffic. And there's a lot of kids in that. And I told them, I think you have to approve it. But anyway, could you check into that for Hiawatha Drive?
Hiawatha Drive. I will, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Moving right along, 2021-6, authorizing the cab Cherokee gas to convey property through the city of Center. Johnny, you got some information on that?
Yes. If y'all remember back, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, the DC guys sold their building when they built the new one, and they conveyed the parking lot to the city of Fort Payne for parking. We've got a new building over in the center, so the old building and all, the city of Center wanted that for their sanitation or something to be parked in, so they came to us. We had the parking lot Fort Payne had Randy Wilson come up with a figure on it, and basically it was a wash, and so I think the board's fine with conveying it to the city of Center, but they had to run it by the 3 towns that own DC gas, so I would recommend it.
Great, there's no need to carry this one over either, so do you guys want to suspend the rules and go ahead and get this passed? Motion by Philip, second by Lynn to suspend the rule. Roll call, Johnny. Lynn. Yes. Philip. John.
Yes.
I say yes. Motion carries. A motion to adopt ordinance 6. Motion by Philip, second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Thank you.
Moving right along to the resolutions. Andy, do we have to take 8 through 13 individually? Can we do them all at once?
You can do them all at once, Mr. President.
Okay. Would you explain these a little bit? These are normal resolutions, aren't they?
That is correct. Every do what we call the annual bids for the material. The vast majority of these are public works. Well, all of these are public works material. On occasion, we have to bid sewer, chemicals, the plant, also aircraft fuel, but I'll put those on a 3-year rotation where we don't have to do it every year. But these we still do annually, and they came in as usual, a little bit higher than last year, but nothing outrageous. So I certainly recommend accepting all of them.
Okay, Tim, do you have any comments on these?
I recommend accepting all of them also.
Okay. We need a motion to accept the resolutions. Motion by Lynn, second by Philip. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
So did I abstain from the drain pipe. But I'll vote for the rest of it.
I will.
Okay. Motion carries. Okay, item 2021-14 is granting a tax abatement to Newport. Mayor Andy, who's going to speak to that?
We got paperwork from Jimmy Durham's office. If y'all will recall, late last year we did a tax abatement for Newport. This is simply an additional expansion in addition to what they did last year. I think it's a $4 million plus, if I remember right, without looking at the resolution, $4 million investment, $4,812,000 investment. And I do not have the jobs breakdown. I know somebody asked about that. I don't have that as of yet, but if I remember correctly, last year it did not immediately add new jobs, but it simply added the potential for future expansion for new jobs.
I'll make a motion to grant this, and I just like to say Newport is a very good corporate citizen. Hire a lot of people, so I'm making the motion.
Motion by Johnny. Philip, got something to say? Okay. Need a second? Second by Lynn. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, item 6 is continued business. Continued discussion about the disposition of city-owned land adjacent to the old Jefferson location on Highway 35. Tim's with us today to help us understand that. Mayor, do you want to lead that discussion?
I just have had several calls about, what are we going to do with this? Are we going to do this? Are we not going to do this? Because previous administration had given, the property, or given a portion of the property and, to the county. And, my understanding was told that we would have it site ready for them to build a building to site the new tourism office. So we just need to decide which direction we're going with this and, get this in works. I'm ready to see something done on that property.
Could you explain to us the information you got from ADM? Was this something that they were concerned about in that area?
Tim could probably speak to that better than I could. He looked at the FEMA papers.
Yeah, we got several documentations from FEMA over the years where we've been approved to fill it out through the Zone B flood zone. So where we got it now, if you see the mark down there where the barrels are, that is the zone as far as we can fill it in. So the property size, based on what we filled in now, is 60 foot on the west end, 150 foot deep on the east end, and the whole property is 433 feet long, which comes out to be right at 1 acre is what the property size is that we've got filled. The county wants a 1,200 square foot building, so if we do a 30 by 40 with parking spaces all the way around it, they could probably get by with 150 feet of that. So their property would be 150, and then the center line would be 95. And that would still leave the city 217 feet by 150 feet. So that would still leave enough to, or 283 feet by 150 feet. So that would be enough to build something else on it. If the county needed more space than 150, I would recommend not going any further than 215 feet, which would be half of that lot. And then the city maintained the other 215 feet.
Which end were we talking about? We decided we wanted to keep one of the ends, right?
Yeah, we would keep the one closest to Jefferson. They needed to be inside of the interstate, so we would put them on the west end, which comes out to a more narrow point, which is only 60 feet in width on that end. But the building would still fit there, plus have parking around it. So I feel like that would still give them enough space without having a problem with it.
And what about a turn lane? Will the state require us to have a turn lane into that?
No, we had to, in order to get a permit, we had to tell them what's going to be there. And so with us putting the tourist center there, there's not enough traffic flow to require a turn lane. The only difference is if it's going to be tagged to that property, that in the future, if we put a business that's going to have a higher traffic flow, we will have to come back and turn lane. But based on the tourist center, the traffic flow is too low. It had a drive-in restaurant, which I don't feel like it's enough space anyway, but that would probably justify having to build a turn lane.
So will the entry into the tourist building be the entry into the entire lot?
Yes, they're only going to approve one entrance to the whole property, which would be somewhere close to the center of it. We could move it back and forth if need to be by a few feet, but they will require to the whole property.
So we're basically deeding it to them or whatever, and then whatever they did was their deal. We won't be doing paving or anything like that, correct?
Well, what they're expecting, and I guess they've been told that in the past, that we would get the subgrade up, compacted, ready for them to build on it. We've got enough materials over there right now that we can move it in place and compact it as we go, and they would have plenty of compaction for that. So we'd come in and do that if that's what y'all want us to do, get it leveled up, get it compacted, and then turn it over to them to build their building and do the paving and whatever they want to do then.
Taylor?
What are we getting in return?
they'll be putting their building there, and that's where the tourism office will be. They are selling their original tourism office, and that will be a business, and we'll get tax dollars off of that business that goes into the old tourism site.
Is anybody,
What do you think, Bill?
Tim, can you put two businesses on that lot now, or do you just hold one?
You can put two smaller ones. If they were to put the building where they want it, we could put another smaller business on the upper end. Sam Phillips did a survey a few years back, and he had a small strip mall put in there. It had 3 businesses in it, but that would be pushing, in my opinion. I feel like what we got now, 2 businesses would fill up the whole parking area.
So we could get 2 businesses paying taxes instead of just one.
Yes.
Right, yeah, I feel like there's enough space, because it's a 1 acre lot. So if we were to split it in half, a half-acre lot is big enough to do a small business on each side.
Thank you.
yeah, it could possibly, if we got something bigger, I think they could probably purchase the old, restaurant right next to it and maybe combine both of them and get a little bigger business now. That's what I kind of had in mind. Could work that way. The old Jefferson building, which is a pretty old building anyway.
Rocky, Mayor, is there any possibility if we do the compacting for this site that we can be liable if something wouldn't compact it right and the building cracked?
Well, I was just going to add, Tim, I figured that most of the council would like to know how much money the city's gonna spend, to put in, to get it compacted. But if we did something negligent in our preparation of the property and buildings collapsed or something along that line, yes, it'd be our responsibility.
John?
I don't think anybody on the council actually knew, that there was a promise to do the compaction and build the sub base and all that. I know I didn't. I know we were talking about maybe letting them have the land, but that's as far as I knew. Some of the rest of you might have heard something different, but I didn't.
Yeah, I think maybe, Mayor, you can speak to that our previous mayor, he was just in negotiations talking to them. There never was a contract or anything signed. Is that correct?
Yeah, my understanding, there was never anything signed. It was just pretty much a verbal, commitment. So, and I too was not aware of that until I met with the county.
Rocky?
There's an old saying about verbal contracts, they're not worth the paper they're written on. Certainly is true with regard to the conveyance of property. Under the statute of frauds, in order to have an enforceable contract to convey real estate, it must be in writing.
Guys, would you be in favor of if we don't just donate the property and let them do their compaction to the site so they can start from scratch and make sure it's right? That's a question for the council.
We've already done. Did we have to go back and move, drop that pipe a little lower, the drainage system a little lower? We've already done that, right? We're doing it right now.
Yeah, we got it lowered. The state wouldn't allow us to keep it in like it was, so we came back in and we took 2 pieces of pipe out and got it lowered. So that part's good to go. They're in the process right now of getting a permit through the state. So, and Rocky was asking about a cost. From now, the only cost we would have would be fuel and labor, because all the material has already been hauled in there. So we can use all that material. And as far as the compaction goes, what we would want to do to cover ourselves
is we have, if y'all agree or want us to do the compaction, we would need to let them get their engineer come up and we would proof roll the whole site that we're gonna put their building and let him sign off and approve so we would not be held liable. And we may still could, Rocky would know if we could, even after that, but I would definitely recommend that we get their engineer to sign off on it before we let it be there.
Good idea.
What's the pleasure of council on this? You want to move forward to start compaction, Philip?
I'm against this. I don't see why we should give away city property to the county to build a tourist center. Why can't you put it back in their old building?
That building flooded, and they put that up for sale, and like I said, they've got potential business going into that corner.
Good, Philip.
Does that potential business know it's gonna flood?
But that, they have to build up to avoid that. They know this.
Why doesn't the county build it up, put the tourism center back there?
I don't know, that'd be a question for the county.
I would think.
I will remind you, they put the dirt that's over there in that property in front of them.
Andy, did you have your hand up?
I did, Mr. President. Just like I asked Tim, you got a good working relationship with the county engineer, but how much work are you willing to do based on what he's saying to do?
You had to come up to where we were willing to do.
Yeah, you said he would need to sign off on it. You go there and you do what you think is best, and you keep coming back and say, no, I need you to do a little additional, but we draw the line on that.
Yeah, you were breaking up a little bit. I couldn't understand all that.
Saying that the county engineer, you alluded to the fact that he would come over and sign off on it. And if you did what you think needs to be done, and he continues to come back and says, I need you to do a little bit extra, or need you to do some additional work, where do we draw the line on that, in your opinion?
Well, I guess, I think what you're asking is how far we go before we cut it off. But if we were to, get a testing company over and if they're looking at 95% compaction or 98%, when we get to that point, then they agree that is the 98, and then we would follow up on it. But you can do a compaction test on a percentage of the property and agree that it is up to 98%, and that's before 95 where they were filed. So when it gets to that point, that's when we'd have to sign off on it. But this could go back and forth, like you're saying.
Tim, how many loads of soil given to us by the county? You know approximately how many?
We got 1,250 over there. Though we found another location for them to put it, but there was no cost either way to that. They needed a place to put it. They called and asked if I had a place, and I knew that we were looking to build that up at some point. So it was a win-win for the city and the county by putting it over there. It gave them a close location. They didn't have to drive a long way to get rid of it, and they were able to get their project underway. We did find another place over by the wastewater plant where we've allowed them to put about 1,000 loads over there.
Right.
Tim, can you, I can't remember, can you remind me how much help the county gave us in putting in that turn lane on the county road for the new school?
Zero. Absolutely none.
Wouldn't it be economically better if we sold those two lots to a business? The city would get the proceeds from the sale of the land and also the sales tax from businesses that located there.
ahead, Kelly.
That's pretty prime real estate. I mean, I've never been in retail sales business, but there's a lot of traffic that goes by that lot. And, I mean, Councilman Brewer, you're in the retail business. Would we consider prime real estate?
Yes, it would. And I don't mind giving the property to the county since it's already been promised. Is it what I would probably have done? No, but we are in the county, and I know there's some just whatever disparity or whatever between the two, but we have so much for Tim to do. You know, we're being pushed to get these soccer fields done, and I don't see how I know Tim is Superman, but I would rather see him focus on the soccer fields and let the county do what they need to do to the lot. If we in good faith are giving it and donating it to them. So that's kind of where I am.
Okay, Mayor, you had mentioned as far as retail companies go, there will be one that will go where the current tourism building is. Is that correct? We do know that they're looking at putting one there.
Yeah, they are looking at putting a business there. We're trying to work out a deal with the county now.
Mayor, what do you think? What do you recommend it? What do you want us to do as a council to support your plan?
I mean, I just think we need to make a decision on if we're going to give them the land and make it build site ready, or if we're going to give them the land, let them, give them the option. They take the land, they get it ready to build on. I just think we need to make a decision on that and go with it. And I mean, I'm good either way. I do feel like that, we are in the county, and, it's a win-win for me, for everybody, to have that tourism site, out by the interstate, and that way people coming in, and having it on this side of the interstate is a plus for Payne, able to pull people into Payne easier.
All right, John?
Well, Tim, we're just talking about compacting it. I mean, that's not a major undertaking at this point because all the material's there, right?
Yeah, we don't have to haul anything else in. It would all be there on site. So we would just move it from one end to the other and compact it as we raise it up and live.
Okay, so, John, what's your feel on it?
I'll be honest with you, I really don't mind giving them the property as long as on that end. I didn't know anything about us having to build it up and compact it. I really feel better if they did that. And us, because like Lena said, we got Tim going early, well, he does a good job at it, but you can't get overloaded. Tim, how long do you think it would take you to do that?
It would probably take about probably 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the weather. And it's not a hard process to do it. I don't mind doing it, but it may be a cleaner process to keep us out of any liability if we just gave it to them and let them do it. But we'll do it the way I want to. Our guys don't mind working, so either way, they fine.
Understand that. I feel better if they did it. They'd be responsible for it if we just gave it to them. Now, if they get a good business on that other corner where it is now, to build it up, we're picking sales tax revenue, and that's a little harder done that way, and it's the other way as far as business. We've got all the new things. I'm over giving it to them, but I'd rather they give me the vaccine.
Yeah, I'm for giving it to them. I'm good either way. Compact it, you know. I guess there's two ways to look at it. Either, you know, we need to follow up with what we had committed, even though it was a previous council. I don't think we were back out on it. As far as compaction, I think it's pretty minimal. I'd be for doing it, but I'm not going to vote against it. We're just keep it going to do it.
You know, my concern is with, I don't know what type of material is in there for compaction, so I'd hate to know that we tried to compact it and it didn't work and we have to bring in something else. So, I'd like to honor, to Lynn's point, I'd like to definitely keep a good relationship, working relationship with the county as much as possible. Allow Brian to have an opportunity to kind of build a better relationship with them if we think that it's not where it needs to be. But going on the word of the council, we had past administration that verbally said that we could do that. So if I think if we could just do it, Johnny, and not compact it, just let them have it and give them just enough to build what they need to build, I think we'll be okay. And had a hand up, Johnny had his hand up.
I was just gonna make a motion to do that.
Okay.
On this minute, I just like to clarify something. I don't think the council was the one that said that we get to them started. That was the previous mayor. I'm fine with honoring that, but I don't think we need to do what I
There's a motion on the floor by Lynn. Is that motion to give them the property with them compacting it?
No, without him compacting,
Okay, so motion on the floor to,
prepare it.
okay, state your motion, Lynn.
Okay, my motion is to, give them the property and let them do what they need to do to build to get the property ready and build their building.
Okay, motion on the floor, do I have a second?
I'll say.
Second by John. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, I'm opposed, the motion carries. All right, Mayor, could you follow through with that, please?
I definitely will, and I'll get with the county and let them know, which way the council decided to go with that, okay?
Okay, good discussion. All right, item 6 is update on the date for Independence Day celebration. Mayor?
I have reached out to Payne for, the 4th of July celebration. They are available both the 1st and the 2nd, which is Thursday and Friday night. My recommendation would be to do the event on Thursday night and use Friday night as a rain day.
This is budgeted. There's funding in it. Is this budgeted?
This is in the budget.
Okay. All right, so that's just an FYI for us, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to set the date.
Motion to set the date. What date would you like it, Brian?
I would say July the 1st on Thursday night.
Okay. Motion to accept that date. Motion by Lynn, second by John. All in favor say aye. Motion carries. Item 7 is continued discussion on the purchase of the light poles and the lights. I think John and Tim's been looking at that along with the mayor. You guys want to lead us in that discussion?
Johnny?
That's Johnny did. Johnny was here.
Okay.
Yes, I've got Tim's on here. What we'd like to do is let him go ahead and purchase enough poles that he thinks, that we'll be using. Now, we got the okay from the state to put these decorative poles from 8th Street North to 3rd Street South. And as some of you know, we ordered, the first one we ever ordered, we had a hard time getting them. It took a long time, and these take a little while. But I'd like to get Tim, get y'all to authorize Tim to buy whatever he thinks, that don't go over the bid law. The last one we bought were $870.19 a piece. So, Tim, you got anything to say about it?
We got, probably 40 or 50 more if we were to go completely from 3rd south to the 8th north. So if we were to buy, $14,000 worth a year, we could go that route. But we may look at, and y'all will let me know which way you want to go with this. But if we were to just put it out as somewhat of an annual bid, and then that way, if we have $5,000, we could buy them, or if we had $50,000, we could buy that in. That may cover us all the way around, and that way we'd have a bid on file and without an amount on it, but put it out as similar to the annual bid. So I could get all the specs and everything to Andy and see what y'all think about that. Go ahead.
I think that would be the best way to go. And that way we've got them and decide and there's been some talk about putting some up on Grand, up behind, or in front of the First Baptist and First Methodist Church. So I would personally like to think maybe we could do some of that before we extend it all the way up to 8th Street north. I'm in favor of putting them there in front of 5th Street, in our new intersection, in front of the Opera House. And maybe, the next ones we put maybe on Grand, get some back there.
Andy?
I was just gonna say, John talking about that, Rocky and I've had multiple conversations over the years about that. We're gonna stick lights on, that constitutes one item. You can't make parts of light and the pole. But Rocky, if you will open up, that's the works for us, $50,000 to work with, correct?
That is correct, and as a basic rule of thumb, and this is a real generalization, it's not true every time, but I think it would be with light poles, you can spend up to $50,000 without bidding them. I don't know whether these would fall into the exception of being unique and only having one supplier. If you absolutely cannot buy something that matches anywhere else, then it can be unique. But if you can buy them that look the same and operate the same somewhere else, it won't. You can go up to $50,000, and breaking it into year by year makes no difference. If you buy $49,000 this year and $2,000 worth next year, you've exceeded the limits, and it has to be bid under the public works project. You can't chop projects up into bits and pieces.
Hey, Rocky, I got a question.
Sure.
If we just continually put it out every year as an annual bid, would that work so that we'd have all our bases covered in case we had some extra funding for next year, we could just buy as many as we want?
Yeah, you can buy as many as you want as long as you bid them every time. Sure. And you don't have to buy them all at once. You don't have to have a $50,000 bid. You can bid $10,000 a year every year from now till doomsday, and that's fine. The point is that if you've got a project and you know ultimately you're going to spend enough past the $50,000, then you got to bid the first one, just like you did the last one.
Right. Andy, would that be a problem if we were to go start doing that?
No, it would not. Rocky, one of the things you touched on that gives me a little bit of heartburn is you're alluding to a sole source of provider based on a subjective restriction.
Yeah, the lights would be considered sole source, but the poles would not. Everybody makes the poles, but only GE makes those lights, so they would be a sole source.
Are they separate?
Yes.
Yes, they are. Those two pieces. Yeah, the poles come from a different supplier than the light.
Well, then I think we need to be in. How much is the pole? Just the pole, not the light.
The last one we bought were $870 a piece, and there had been some bought before that was up to close to $2,000 a piece.
Well, you gotta have to bid those poles because we're gonna get past $50,000 ultimately. And it's a little bit different bid, Andy, as you know. But if you can buy those from multiple sources, we're gonna have to bid them. But as far as the lights themselves, since they're unique to GE and only built by GE, if somebody will send me some specs on that, I'll write a letter to put in our files that says that I've rendered an opinion that those do not have to be bid, and that'll protect the city. If anybody gets hammered for that, it'll be me, not the city.
John, you had your hand up?
So Lynn, I guess Lynn, is any of this cost, available, to go under a grant from the Main Street organization, somebody like that, some other grant party? Just under a beautification or something with Main Street, is that a possibility to do?
I would have to check with them to see. I don't know that right off.
All grants are, I mean, they're just all so different. You don't know. I mean, we could search one out. I know there's a grant out there right now with Lowe's, that could possibly, be used for if it's granted. We would just need help putting it together, and it's due in April. So, I'm sure, and sometimes, but those things aren't going to come up every year. So, I like the idea of doing what Brian said. The areas he said put the light, and I like what Tim said about bidding them out yearly, and then we just have a plan of which ones we're going to do first, and just work that plan over the next 4 years.
Brian, Rocky, can y'all get together what we need to do, and make sure we follow the rules and get these lights started? I mean, I'm not sure exactly how it needs to be worded or what we need to sign, but Rocky, we should do.
I think all y'all need to do is, it appears to me that the poles gotta be bid, the lights do not. The main thing you need to decide is how many poles or how much money you're gonna spend on poles each year. And then once y'all give us, Brian and I figure on that, we can just go from there. I mean, I don't know whether you're gonna spend $15,000 a year or $30,000 a year or what?
What if we spent $14,000, stayed under the $15,000 bid law? Just
Well,
for it, yes.
The bid law, you're gonna have to comply with the bid law anyway, because you're gonna go over 50,000. And so 14,000 has nothing to do with anything at this point. I mean, the only reason you picked that figure is so you wouldn't have to bid it. But now, if that turns out to be a figure that you think is a good figure to spend every year, then that's a perfectly fine figure.
I guess that's probably good enough, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah, I don't know how much per year you plan on spending, but if I guess to make everybody not worry about it, if we thought we were going to get close to that amount each year, we'd need to bid.
We just need to make sure we get the same type pole. We don't want to change the looks of it, so I don't know how you do that. They just take a picture of it and send it out with it. But we don't want to change the looks.
Yeah, we can get the specs on it and get a picture, and Andy can just send that all out together as a bid package if we go that route.
Council, can we get this resolved in this meeting? Do we want to authorize him to do that, or you think we need to get some more information? I hadn't heard anything from you, Philip. What do you think about this project?
I recommend that we spend $14,000 to buy lights and poles.
Is that what, Johnny?
Actually, we just probably need to separate it, Philip, and just say poles, because the lights are the same thing we buy all the time. It's a standalone item, and we've used one company when we started the street light deal, and we wouldn't do that, we wouldn't have so many different kinds. So,
Is the cost, Tim, for the light and the pole about $1,400?
It's about 15 or 1600, our last price we got.
Why don't you bid 10 a year? That's gonna put you at about 15,000.
Mayor, will that work for your project, Mayor? I know you're trying to get strategic replacement done.
Yes.
10 a year, Johnny, can you live that?
Yeah, probably can. We've got, Tim, you counted up about 12 or 13 properties in between 5th and 6th Street. Let me tell you what we did last time we bought them was, we got 16 and the price was $13,923.04. So, I would say whatever he can get within that parameter. Wouldn't have to be a company.
Really?
I would just ask,
We can bid it, Andy, we can bid it, something like anywhere between 10 and 20 poles and give us a price per pole and then get the price per pole and see how much we can spend. We can do it that way.
Yes.
That works.
Tim, kept prices, like the part of the post and the lights, but, man, Roger, you're saying that you can't separate the light from the post.
Yes. Okay, Lynn, go ahead, Lynn, you had your hand up here, why?
make sure that the plan for the lights goes through Brian and so we know how many lights we want when we first begin this project for the total project, and then they work it every year and don't just stick things up, you know, here and
Is
there.
anybody just sticking them up, Lynn?
No, but,
Well, what are you talking about?
well, he wants to go up
I
top.
mean, Tim's in charge of putting the lights up, and everybody does this.
We need to be where Brian wants them.
Where Brian wants them, we're gonna have to find them with them, set a pay for them. Okay.
Okay, so Brian, you kind of lead that, kind of look at it and see kind of what we need to do. Involve Johnny, and because Johnny's worked hard on that, and Tim, be sure we got a joint effort on what we need to do. If we need to bring this thing back to our next council meeting and vote on it, let you guys look at it a little while, why don't we just do that?
I just think we need a plan in place to go forward with it.
Okay, Johnny, can you live with that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, well, we'll just postpone to our next meeting. Any other comments on that? Moving right along. Next item on the agenda is discussion about authorizing the purchase of portable pumps to replace the rented one in the current use at Tavern Hills Lagoon. Mayor, who has,
I talked to Michael on this. We are currently having to rent that pump, to pump the, lagoon. And we could buy a pump, I believe the estimate was $41,000, some odd dollars, and then we would own this pump. And I believe Tim could use that in different projects that he has, and also with wastewater. We're gonna pay, I think Michael told me at least $25,000 renting this pump. We gotta have it at least, I think he said until next April. I just think it would make more sense if we went ahead, if we can utilize the pump and we need that to make that purchase instead of, continuing to rent the pump.
What was the purchase price? I can't remember.
$41,430. What Michael said.
all right, Philip had his hand up, then John.
I was gonna make the motion, so let Johnny talk.
I just wanted to tell everybody that, this pump can be used anywhere we have, if we have a fuel break or something, they can use it, pump around and that type of thing, so it's not just one purpose. he can use several places.
Okay.
Well,
I make a motion to purchase the pump.
Motion by Philip, second by Lynn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Right.
I just want to remind you that will not be a capital project, and therefore it will have to be bid.
In the motion, authorize me to do that.
Can we rescind Philip's motion to include that?
I won't even write it down.
Okay, so Philip's motion will include that. Is that the right? Authorizing you to do it and get her done.
Get second.
Second was by Lynn.
Okay. And that is contingent, of course, if Michael, I've got him and James Payne working on it, if they can find a supplier that is listed on a recognized co-op, we can buy it without bidding it.
All right. All right, mayor's report.
I don't have a whole lot today. Philip raising his hand.
No.
Are we not gonna talk about the coal and iron building? I'm sorry, Brian, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think we went past it.
we did.
Okay. You're correct. Okay. Coal and iron building, let's see. Continue discussion on disposition of coal and iron building. So Mayor, you can go ahead and talk on that. You're not gonna talk about that a little bit. What you're thinking on current?
First 3 rooms are being rented out, and I think they're rented out through probably January of next year. And that seems to be a good venue. It's bringing in dollars. The two back rooms, which is currently the very back room is currently occupied by Main Street at the time. That is the one, and then the meeting room is the other one that we're looking at renting those spaces out, or whatever might be feasible to go in there. So I think that was the discussion at the last council meeting about or the work session or work. In meetings, I don't know which is which. But,
I think, Brian, we discussed in the last work session, we're gonna rent those back 2 rooms for $750 each.
Right, yes.
And I think we also said plus utilities, is that right?
Yeah, they will pay utilities.
They will pay the utilities.
I'll make a motion, we do that.
Okay, motion by Philip, second by John. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Rocky, do you need to draft some type of document for written?
Well, once you have a renter, then we need to enter into some sort of lease agreement, yes. But you usually have to adjust that to some degree depending on who's renting and what the use is and what all of the terms are. So when you get someone who is ready to rent, we'll prepare a lease in cooperation with Brian. Then y'all have to approve the lease.
So as of whenever the current occupants move out, those buildings will be available to rent for $750 a month. That's correct. All right.
Yes.
All right. Mayor's report.
All right. As I said, I don't have a whole lot. I have talked with an individual about the golf course. I am actually meeting him at the golf course on Thursday, and this is a possible lease. It seems to be the general consensus that that we want to keep that property and possibly lease it out. I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm on top of this gentleman. I know that there's been one gentleman that's already went and looked at the property. So we are working on that, and keep you updated on as far as how that goes. I did speak with Sarah James on the old hospital grant. she says it is, has been executed and they're working their end of it. I know Rocky's working on getting that transition over into our name. And I don't know if you want to speak to that any, Rocky?
I will. We completed the transaction with folks in New York. Unfortunately, what they sent us was woefully incomplete. We have contacted them back and said, you sent us what you claim you own, but you haven't got all the proper assignments in there so that we're pretty clear about that we can foreclose on it. And they also included a second mortgage that I think has been paid off, but I'm checking on that and we're gonna run title on it. But I don't want us to get in there, spend all this money, including a lot of money of the cities, and then find out that, hey, we cleaned it off for somebody that actually owns this thing. So we're trying to make sure that they had assured us that they had all of that, but it wasn't all of that when we got it. So we're continuing to try to make sure that we're protected.
Did they cash the check?
I'm sure they cashed the check, yes. I told them not to. I sent them a letter and said, here's the check, don't cash it till you send us everything we need. But I guess Andy needs to check and see if they cashed it.
Also would like to remind everybody about Third Saturday this weekend. This will be our first Third Saturday. It was canceled last year. Amelia Landstreet has done an awesome job getting this put together this year. And we'll have our first one on Saturday. I encourage everybody to come out. You know, if you want to wear your mask, wear your mask. If not, do as you please. But just at least come out and be part of Third Saturday downtown. It should be a good attended crowd or cruise in, since we've not had any, didn't get to have any last year. We are working on Boom Days, getting Boom Days put together. You'll be hearing more about that in the weeks to come, getting all that stuff done. I did have the opportunity this past week, along with Jimmy Durham of the Economic Development, Connie Fuller with Main Street, and Jennifer McCurdy with the Chamber. We all went down to Wetumpka, Alabama, because they were, when we went to the League of Municipalities conference back in October, they did a panel, and for those of you that were there know how awesome it was. You could just feel the energy of them working together. So I came back and was telling our bunch that I wanted us to go down and experience, the things that they have done, and had a really good visit with their Mayor Willis, and their city clerk, their economic development, their chamber, their county, their Main Street, and the things that they've done in their small town. It's unbelievable what can happen when everybody gets on the same page and you work together, and you don't work against each other, you work together. So, and one of the things that Mayor Willis brought to our attention and talked to us was looking at a track, like a football field track. You've got track and field. There's numbers on each one of those lanes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, how many ever lanes there is. And it works much better when everybody's in their right lane. So that's what I'm going to encourage you guys to do, is to be in your right lane. If I get out of my lane, you let me know. If you get out of your lane, I want to let you know. So we got to have that in order to have a harmonious working relationship with the mayor, the council, and the community. We talked on the trip down there and back. There's lots of ideas. I think our chamber, Main Street, works great together. They bouncing ideas off each other. So I think we're really headed in the right direction. We just got to stay in the right lane. So if you don't remember anything else from today's meeting, remember, stay in your lane. That's all I have.
All right. Sometimes I cross over and get into Brian's lane. We have fun with that. So we're not ashamed to talk about it and get better with each other. So I invite you guys to also support the mayor as we move and try to get this thing accomplished. Also, as president of the council, I want you guys to definitely know agendas are open for council members to add their concerns to the agenda. The agenda is not off limits. It's for us. It's for us to discuss anything that we need to discuss. The work sessions are designed also to help us get a little time to spend trying to discuss those subject matters so we can actually come to a vote when it's on the agenda. So let's keep that in mind, and I'll be out of town, so Lynn will be conducting the meeting tomorrow, the work session. Please, out of that, there should be some items that come from that and go on our next agenda. So hopefully you guys will do good and give us some good agenda items. How that goes is if there's something that you want on the agenda, please call me. I usually call Andy and I talk to the mayor. We try to make sure that it's the right time to go on the agenda. We have everything lined up just right, but there is nobody on this council should ever feel like you have a subject matter that is not being placed on the agenda. We'll stay in those lanes and make sure we understand your comments, your feedback is important to this council team. So thank you very much. Lynn, you're going to have a good time with them tomorrow, right? They promised me they would be nice and serve cake.
Serve cake?
Yeah, I'm going to miss it. They waited for me to leave for them to serve cake. I'm just kidding.
Mr. President,
I didn't hear you. What was that, John? Andy?
what is the project?
I still didn't hear. What did he say?
He said, what is the topic of the work session tomorrow?
It's just continue the top 5 list, the things that we haven't covered already, to pick those up, to be sure that we're not dropping anything that we discussed. We did pretty good this meeting of taking some and getting some things done. So I'll send Lynn a copy of the list that we have. Lynn, if you get with Phil has been keeping up with these things pretty close, and be sure that y'all come up with a list of what we need to talk about tomorrow and try to get some things that we can put on the agenda. There's no purpose having a work session unless we clarify some things to get them on the agenda. That's the whole purpose of it. So, John?
Yeah, well, just, when is the date that we're gonna meet with Aldock people? Do we have a firm date on that? I know we talked about it, trying to get up here.
We did not have a firm date. I have talked with Nathaniel, because I want Nathaniel to be at that meeting and we talked about, and I suppose that's about the, those truck stop overpass, ordeal.
Yeah, that, and we need to, I know they got a plan for the, turn lanes things at 35 and Airport and Jordan Road. So just,
Right.
got a lot of questions for these asking, and we
I
got
know, the last time I talked to, Mr. Cooper and Mr. Vincent, that project is slated for 2022.
Right.
So I know that probably nothing will happen before 2022 on that project.
Okay, can y'all, Mayor, could you maybe kind of narrow that down to maybe get a date for John, so we can be sure we know when that's gonna happen?
Yes, as soon as Nathaniel gets back with me on when he can, then I'll get that narrowed down and let y'all know.
Work for you, John?
Yes, great. Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion? John, you have your hand up? Johnny? Okay.
Good.
Any further business? If not, thanks a lot, guys. Okay, Lynn, go ahead.
You make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Lynn to adjourn. Y'all have a good meeting tomorrow, and I won't be here in town to go to the first presentation of the third Saturday, but I'll catch the next one.
I tell you what, I'll give you a call.
Yeah, right. If you don't, I'll call you. Thanks a lot, guys. Y'all have a good weekend.
Thank you.